Good morning. Welcome back to the Opinionated channel. This is Cyclop here. Excuse me. Um, Today, I want to talk about open carry versus concealed carry, right? We have laws in this country that allow us to, you know, get a permit to conceal carry weapons. I'm pretty sure the reverse is true in terms of open carry. You probably need some form of licensing or registration for that as well. Here's the website, right? Wikipedia. I haven't gone through and I haven't read all this in terms of what the requirements are per state, et cetera, because I don't really care about that. Um, the purpose of my conversation here this morning is how do people feel about open carry versus conceal carry, right? So this all came about for me in terms of my curiosity about the subject and why I felt like I wanted to talk about it. Um, Ashley, my girlfriend, um, she just recently went and got registered or went through a class, 4 hour class to conceal carry in Wisconsin. She doesn't own a gun, not yet. She's planning on getting one, but she doesn't own one. But she went and got this permit to conceal carry, and I asked her after the fact. I didn't go get registered, but I asked her after the fact. Why? I don't know. Why would you want or need such a thing? And like, what's the purpose? What's the purpose versus opening and concealing, carrying your gun, right? Like, what in your mind makes it better to conceal your gun versus open carrying your gun? And she went on to explain that. Sorry, I'm drinking some water, trying to clear my throat up here. So, anyways, so she explained that she felt she would feel safer if she was carrying her gun concealed. And I said, okay, like I guess I don't understand that, right? I don't understand why hiding the gun that you're carrying makes you feel safer. Like, doesn't that imply that also everybody else potentially is carrying a gun? She said, well, yeah, absolutely, and that makes me safer, makes me feel safer. I don't understand the logic of that, and so I questioned that. I said, well, I guess I don't understand. Like, if I saw a person walking around carrying a gun, like, without a doubt, I know that person has a gun. And I can choose, right, as a person, I could choose to feel either, safe around that person or threatened by that person. That's all going to come down to the person that's carrying the gun, right? How are they acting, and how are they brandishing this weapon? Are they even brandishing it, or is it just holstered, right? Are they out pointing the gun? What are they doing with the gun that they have that I can visibly see? That's going to dictate how I feel about that situation, right? If it's holstered, whatever, not a big deal. If it's out and about, well, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? That those things are all going to dictate my perception of the situation, right? But if you have a gun and you're carrying it openly, I'm not concerned at all. In 99% of the cases, I feel even more secure than I did a moment ago, right? Like, I know that one of two things are going to happen. There's a million other things, but one of two possible outcomes of any situation that I'm currently in with somebody else holding a gun or being holstered with a gun is either that person is going to go crazy and start shooting people, which I find highly unlikely, especially considering they're openly carrying a gun, right? That automatically draws attention to you. So, anyways. Again, it all depends on the person, the situation, how they're doing things, how they're carrying themselves, blah blah blah. But generally speaking, here, so that person who's brandishing or openly carrying their gun on a holster either is going to go crazy or right, they're going to help the situation if somebody else should go crazy. That was my statement to her in regards to how I felt about seeing somebody carrying a gun. Like I feel way more secure, knowing that than not knowing, right? The mystery of knowing who isn't carrying a gun and who is. I feel better knowing who is, I guess. Well, she had said to me in response to that, well, openly, this is what this class she went to get this certification here, that they expressed to her, and in the class as well, just in general, and there was, it wasn't just her, it was many people in the class, but they expressed that openly carrying a firearm makes you a potential victim. And I said, what? I said, that makes you a victim or a potential victim. Like what, tell me how that makes sense. Right? She said, well, there are people out there who may see your gun and want to take it from you. I said, but you have a gun. Right? Wouldn't you defend yourself? Right? Like you're openly carrying a gun. If somebody's going to try and take it from you, I mean, if they're real sneaky about it, okay, yeah, there's a lot of things you can't do, right? Let's talk about fucking crackhead ninjas, all right? I doubt that they exist, all right? But if a crackhead crazy ninja sees you carrying a gun and is going to try and take it from you, I mean, I suspect they got to be real fucking stealthy in order to do that. Especially if you're the person who is openly making the choice to carry a gun, I would think you would be also the same type of person who's very well aware of your surroundings, the people around you, what's going on, etc. So I don't think a crack-headed ninja is going to take your gun or even try to take your gun. She said, well, no, it happens all the time. People see other people with guns. They want the gun. They try to get the gun. I said, but again, you have a gun. You're the one with the gun. In what situation does that make you unable to defend yourself? Like, if they don't have a gun, I mean, clearly they don't have a gun, because if they wanted your gun and they had a gun, they would just shoot you and take your gun. But I'm sorry. It's funny to me. This is all funny to me, right? And I don't know what that makes me as a person. I have no idea. But the point here is that I don't understand the idea of being a potential victim because you're openly carrying a gun. Because somebody might try and take your gun, but you have the gun. You could defend yourself with the weapon. Right? That's what the purpose of the weapon is, right? That's what the gun is for. That's the argument, right? Is that the gun is for protection. So in what scenario would somebody try and take a gun from you and you not use said gun to defend yourself? I don't understand. What I also don't understand is just the simple idea of concealing and carrying your weapon, right? We have problems in this country about the fear of guns. Okay, we should have that fear. We should, as people, we should have that fear. Guns are very dangerous. People are very dangerous. Those fears should exist. But if I'm rolling through the hood, right, and on every corner of the street that I'm rolling down, there's a person on the corner, okay? And that person is holding or holstering a firearm, right? On every corner, of the entire block, right? Every there is a person who is strapped with a gun, and it's visible, right? Why am I using the hood as an example? First of all, well, the hood, whatever color hood you want to represent here, okay? The bad part of town, the shady neighborhoods that all exist, right? Whether it's white, black, Asian, doesn't matter, okay? All the shady neighborhoods. That's what I'm trying to get you to picture, okay? Whatever that is to you, you picture that. You roll through that neighborhood, and every person on the block is carrying a gun, is holding a gun, right? It's not in their hands. It's strapped to their back, right? Or it's in a holster. They're not pointing a gun or holding a gun in their hand. They're not doing anything at all with the gun. You can just visibly see the gun. Now, how you feel about that situation, is uncontrollable by the people who have the right, right? These people have the right. Let's say, I guess we have to assume that they have the right, and that's part of the problem. But if the part of that problem only exists because of the ability to also conceal and carry, right? If the law was only if you have a gun and you want to display it, you need that's it, that you have to display your gun, right? You have to. But they can't do that. People will, of course, conceal it. But, right, if the norm was open carry all the time, and people were comfortable with that, I guess I don't know what what the argument is I'm trying to have here. It's not necessarily an argument. It's just simply stating that, as we all know, as the entire argument is, right? Guns don't kill people. People kill people, right? Like that's what it is. So people are crazy, and so we have to figure out, as the people who are pro-gun in this country, right? You guys need to figure out how to create a more peaceful environment around the ideas of guns, right? And what I'm saying here is that I feel like, she went to this class to get registered to be a concealed carry person, right? But they're making statements that seem illogical to me, right? That you would be a victim because you're opening and carrying your gun, or you're open carrying your gun. That would potentially make you a victim. What did she also gave me an example that they gave her about going to a church, that churches allow open carry, apparently, right? If this is circumstantial, right? This is just me repeating the conversation. There may be portions missing. I may not have all the details right, but this is the gist of what I got from it. Churches allow open carry, and in a church shooting scenario, somebody who's out casing the joint, they're going to pick off the people who have a gun on them first. Those are the first people that are going to be shot because they have guns. And I said, well, I mean, that seems, oddly specific, first of all, that, let's take whatever the fucking crazy white person was that was out here shooting people in churches a year or two ago. It just happened again, some other church shooting not too long ago. Doesn't really matter. But let's take that situation in any case. Let's say he goes and he stakes out the church, right? I mean, how often would he have to go to church, at that church, to find who the people are carrying guns? And I ask that because, when you walk into a church, 99% of the churches I've been in, when you walk in the front door, everybody's back is to your face, right? Because everybody's facing forward in the pews, facing the cross or the priest or pastor, whoever's up there dictating the show. Everybody's looking at him. Nobody's looking at the back of the place, right? And everybody's sitting down. So you would have to go to that church. I mean, multiple times, really, and hope that the same gun-toting people are going to be there every time you're there, so you can spot them, point them out, right? This is a lot of planning. Let's be clear here, because you're going to have to sit next to almost everybody in the church inconspicuously, right? Or you what would you do? You go into the church and you sit in the back and you listen to the whatever, and then you just take note of everybody who walks past you as they leave the church. You very oddly and very strangely sit in the back pew and watch everybody and check their hips for open carry. And you take note of where they were sitting, hopefully, right? I mean, come on. You'd have to case the place for a very long time is the point that I'm trying to make here. To find out who are the gun owners in the building, where are they sitting in the church, and those are the people that I'm going to take out first if they sit in the same place every single time in church. So that's my argument towards that statement that churches are also a very bad spot in terms of open carry. You wouldn't want to open carry in a church. That's the statement being given to her by this class here in Wisconsin, right? They're telling her that story and saying, hey, if you don't go to church, don't open carry, because those are going to be the first people taken out by anybody coming to take out people in a church. I disagree with that statement. I disagree with that argument. I think that in any church killing across the board, there's not much thought process that really goes in, right? Maybe there is. Maybe you run in and you fire at the priest or the pastor first, and that's your first move. You're successful there, then you just start spraying bullets, right? I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there's not a whole lot of real planning that needs to go on, because again, when you walk up in the place, everybody's back is turned to you, right? And these I'm not talking about huge evangelical churches, because when was the last time a mass shooting was done at one of those places, right? Obviously, security's pretty tight. The point is, I don't think that a church scenario matters to the shooter in either way. I don't think the shooters are out here saying that they're out here casing a church to find out who the gun owners are. I don't think that much thought is being put into it. I think it's a pretty easy target, just like a school, unfortunately, right? Just like a school. A school is a very easy target for these deranged individuals to take action in. Why is that? Because guns are not allowed in schools in most cases. Do I think that guns should be allowed in schools? No, I don't. I think that guns should be allowed on the property, on the premises, on the outside, right? I think that children should be ran through metal detectors and searched, every single one of them. Every teacher, every student passed through metal detector, and that's how you gain entrance to your education, is by successfully making it past the security and the metal detectors, right? That's safe, right? If somebody is attempting to run up in a school, but and they want to shoot a bunch of kids, but they have to make it through armed security and a metal detector first. I mean, it's not happening. That's it. That's done. It's like the problem is resolved at that point. I mean, of course, we could come up with 100 scenarios in which, school shooter is really really dedicated to the task, and he is out here casing the joint, right? He's a sniper. He's out here picking off the far east guard, right? There's a million and one scenarios that we can make it possible, but that's not the point. The point is setting the norms, setting the standards, so that these crazy people who exist in the world don't do the things that they're doing now, or we make it harder for them, right? So the argument is, right, in terms of the gun laws in this country, is that, guns are bad, guns are bad, guns are bad, guns are bad. And then also, guns are good, guns are good, guns are good. We have to find a middle road, right? We have to. The country that we live in here is falling apart in terms of gun violence. We can argue about statistics every day. Doesn't really matter. But I think what I'm trying to say here is that open carry seems to me the solution to the problem, right? If you have a gun, you're licensed and registered to carry that gun, you should openly carry that gun every single day, everywhere you go. See, I'm being serious. I don't understand how logically it makes sense to do the opposite, to conceal your weapon. The the stigma, the problem that people have in this country are that not we, but the majority, right? A lot of people consider guns to be dangerous and evil, right? And that the bad guys always have the guns. And that is the stigma that guns need to remove, right? The owners of guns, the people who are legally able to do so, should be publicly displaying them all the time. And all of the states, I don't know. Again, I haven't looked at this fucking website, so don't judge me. Here's a little map. What does it say? A map of open carry laws in the United States. Permissive open carry, 26. Permissive open carry with local restrictions. Licensed open carry, anomalous, non-permissive. What does permissive mean? In some states, large communities, felony charge open carry local handguns. I mean, I believe permissive just means you can just carry, right? Here we go. Permissive open carry states. The state has passed full preemption of all firearm laws do not prohibit open carry for all non-prohibited citizens and do not require a permanent license to open carry. Yeah, so open carry is lawful on foot and in the motor vehicle. Okay, so all of the dark green states here, you can openly carry without any issue as long as you rightfully are allowed to carry a gun. And that's, to me, that's how it should be. Should be that way across the entire country. And people who have guns and own them should proudly display them, right? Because when, the argument is that, we can't remove guns because bad guys will get the guns anyways. Well, I agree, but so will good guys. Good guys will do whatever they need to do to defend themselves as well. So it's not always just a very cut and dry situation here. In a lot of these cases, but I think it can be. I think the solution to the problems that we have in this country revolving around guns is pretty easily solved. It's just that people do dumb things, and people do a lot of dumb things in this country. But not only in this country, but across the entire globe, people are doing dumb things all the time. But I just feel like a criminal I don't know. Again, not in every single case, of course, right? There's not every single situation that a criminal is going to be stupid or smart, right? But I don't think that the gun crime that we have in this country, minus mass shootings, I don't think a lot of it is a lot of smart people out here making calculated decisions about their lives and the plan and the situation at hand, right? A lot of the issues are just, they turn out to be circumstantial because people just can't deal, and that seems to be the last resort for them, whether it's suicide or murder or, robbing a bank or, whatever the case may be, whatever criminal activity these people feel like they need to do with a gun involved. There's not many of them out here doing calculated shit, at least not to our knowledge, I guess. Anyways, I think that the crime would change dramatically if everybody who owned a gun carried their gun. I find the argument that that would make you a potential victim, absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get the conversation that if somebody wants a gun, they're gonna try and take it from you. Well, if you're a weak person, I mean, that's the thing, right? Here's the thing: if you're carrying a gun because it makes you feel strong, then that person's probably gonna take the gun from you, right? That's, I think, is the difference, right? I think if you are only carrying the gun because you're scared, then somebody is going to take it from you because you're scared and you're not ready, you're not prepared, you're not mentally capable of defending yourself with the gun that you have, right? If you feel like carrying the gun is going to make you a victim or a potential victim, then I think that you're too scared to carry a gun. I mean, what you're saying right there in that statement, what I hear, I guess, right, is that you're going to carry a gun, but you're not going to openly carry it because you're afraid somebody's going to try and take it from you. And are you afraid, right? I don't understand why you have the gun then. Didn't you get the gun in the first place because you were afraid? Right? So the gun is, whether it's either concealed or not concealed on your person, whether I can see it or not, why did you get the gun? What purpose does the gun serve if you are afraid in either situation? I don't understand. I don't get it. You know, there are people who do things, criminals and smart people and not so smart people. People do things because of impulses, right? Of the way that they feel. Some people do things to compensate ways they don't actually feel, right? So you don't feel strong, so maybe you buy a gun to help you feel strong, but it doesn't help. It just creates a new fear, right? Now you have a new fear. I mean, and let's be clear about that. She doesn't own a gun, right? She doesn't have one. She's showing me guns after getting the certificate. She's showing me these guns that are, pretty fashionable, blues and purples and, chromes and shinies. I was all right, that's cool. If that's what you want, but what's the point of getting a flashy gun if you're gonna bury it in your purse or under your shirts or in your back pocket, or I don't understand. I get in a lot of trouble because I feel I don't know, I feel like I'm retarded sometimes. I ask these questions and people think that I'm trying to be a jerk, but I just don't get it. I just don't understand. If you're out here buying guns that are painted in a certain manner to make them appealing visually in any way, one of the dudes I know on Facebook, right, posted a bunch of guns that are painted with American flags all across them. Like, the gun looks cool, but do you carry it around? No, I don't carry it around. I don't open carry either. I conceal this 9mm pistol with an American flag painted over the top of it, though. So why? That to me, I don't know. I guess I don't understand it. Like, those people in the world who enjoy shoes, as an example, myself included. I love shoes. I love, nice, fresh, fucking clean, beautiful, whatever. I love shoes, right? I'm buying the shoes primarily for the look, right? If they're comfy, they're comfy. Like, if they fit my feet, that's all good. But I'm not buying shoes because, I got orthopedic needs, right? I'm buying shoes for the look of them. That's why women buy purses, right? They buy a purse for the look. We're fashion forward people in most cases, But I wouldn't buy a beautiful pair of shoes and then put bags over them so that the world couldn't see them or that they couldn't get scuffed or, you know, I wouldn't hide my shoes, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make. I understand that shoes don't, incite the same amount of fear as a gun, but you get my point. Why buy a gun that's you know fancily designed if you're just gonna conceal it? I don't know. I don't. I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers to these questions. I don't understand the ideas that people have. I don't understand why people justify the things that they do in their head about these types of situations. I don't understand why there's a group of people spreading fear that I don't believe should exist. And I mean that in terms of the concealed carry permit that she now has, right? Those people, I feel like, are spreading a fear that is not healthy at all. You are giving, I think you're giving scared people a reason to carry a gun, and that's dangerous. I think my girlfriend is a very scared individual in terms of threats from the public, right? She has a very police heavy background. She used to work for the police department for many, many years as a dispatcher, not as a cop, right? But as a dispatcher, over 10, 12, 13 years or some shit, 14 years maybe. She was working in the police like right out of high school, like 18, 17, 18 years old, right out of high school. But I don't think that people with that type of fear of just the public, right? Because it's just general fear of the public. I mean, and let me also be clear, right? She's not out here like scared to go grocery shopping. That's not the situation, okay? But it is, if she rolled through that hood I was talking about earlier, she would be scared as fuck that she would be shot at any moment. And again, doesn't matter the hood color or location, just the hood, just a shady neighborhood, right? She would be afraid that she would be shot. And I know this because she says this. The areas that I grew up versus what areas, she considers bad or shady are a far cry from each other in terms of, what is actually bad and what isn't bad. At least in my opinion. Again, we all have different experiences. Maybe growing up in the not so nice subdivision made life a little bit harder for you. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. The point is that I don't think scared people should have guns, and I think that allowing scared people to buy a gun and conceal it makes them very dangerous. I think it's a very dangerous situation to be in for the people outside of that situation, right? You have this very scared person walking around with a gun in their belt, hidden, and they're already scared. They don't feel, they're no longer not scared, right? They're still scared. The gun doesn't change their fear, but I don't know, it may change their bravery, right? Or it may change their perception of what is actually a problem. I don't know. I just don't think that they're prepared. See this right here? The Federal Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990 limits where a person may legally carry a firearm, but generally prohibiting carrying within 1,000 feet of the property line of any K through 12 school in the nation, with private property excluded. It says, a state-issued permit to carry may exempt a person from the restriction depending on the laws of the state, and most issuing states qualify for the exception. However, according to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the exception in federal law is inapplicable to permit holders outside the state that physically issued their permit, and it does not exempt people with out-of-state permits, even if the permit is recognized by state reciprocal agreements. Wow. I mean, the rules that we have in this country, this shit is just, some of these things are very, I don't know, they need to change. It's so outdated. Everything's so outdated. 1990, I mean, that's almost 30 years ago. Anyways, yeah, so I don't know what can change. I don't know what needs to change. I know we're talking about guns again. I'm really talking about a different situation in a sense. I feel like there's a solution. I feel like maybe this is the solution, is to, openly carry your firearms, right? If I'm walking through the world and everybody I see is has the ability to carry a gun, and they are, again, I'm going to feel pretty safe. I mean, could a shootout happen at any moment? And that's probably the biggest fear that people have in this scenario, is that, say you go to a bar, right, and fucking Tom and Dick are carrying their guns into the bar and they're drinking heavily, and now they're going to shoot each other and potentially anybody else in the bar because they're fighting over, Tom's fucking Dick's wife and Dick's fucking Tom's wife, and, well, both of them want a divorce at this point, so now they're shooting each other because fuck that bitch, right? And, people are getting shot. Unfortunately, they didn't have shit to do with Tom and Dick, but now they're dead. I get it. I get that. That's a very potential situation in an open carry across the board environment. However, that's where common sense of the people who own the establishment, right, come into play, and that's where the laws, in my opinion, need to exist. Right, the laws need to say that as an establishment, you can choose to allow open carry or not, and that's it. That's it. You either allow it or you don't. However, if you allow it, in this particular example that I just gave with Tom and Dick, as the business owner, as the establishment owner, you do carry some of the responsibility for the events that take place in those particular types of events, right? If Tom and Dick start shooting people and, fucking random customers are getting shot, well, as the business owner, you allowed this particular gun situation to exist in your establishment. You bear some of the weight, whether, financially or whatever. However the fucking whatever shit needs to be figured out. I think that would be acceptable. I think most businesses would probably not allow guns in their establishments, and that would be a beneficial thing. Schools, on the other hand, right? Schools are run by the state. For the most part, not private schools, not all schools, right? Public schools, however, we should protect them across the board. I mean, I went to schools in the hood where I had to go through a metal detector. I'm about to be 40 years old. So this was in my teens. In my teens, I went to schools where I had to go through a metal detector. I had to be searched. Chicken wire cages, right? Bulletproof glass, cameras. I went to schools like that in my teens, 20-something, 30-something years ago, right? Almost 30 years ago. Why don't we have that now all the time, everywhere we go? It would just, every school we go to, every school that every child goes to, we just have that, right? You just have that in place. And, does it suck? Does it make it a military zone? It does in a sense, sure. But it also removes the fact that it's an easy target. It takes it away. And the children, the people who don't have a choice in this world, get to go to school peacefully, right? The fear that people have of seeing such things, right? Police standing at a school, or guns at a school, metal detectors, etc. The fear that people have, children, they're gonna understand the safety that they feel. They're not gonna go to school scared because of that security. They would only be afraid of that if the parents made them afraid. That's the great and unfortunate thing about children, is they don't know what to feel until they're instructed, right? As a child, you really don't know. You're in the world and you don't know what anything is yet. Your parents are the ones who are giving you all the thoughts and ideas about the things in the world around you, right? They dictate how you feel because of how they feel. And that fear will only exist in a child if it's given to them to fear, right? So, there's a lot of adult responsibility in the room, and there's no... The adults who make the rules and the laws aren't really doing many adult things to solve these problems. Anyways, open carry in the United States. I think that everybody should carry their guns openly in public. I think that would end a lot of issues. I think that now, let me just add an asterisk to the mix here, right? I think that anybody should be able to carry the guns that they own. Okay, and you should openly carry them. If you're rightfully able to own that gun, you should be able to carry it. I think, however, as well, those people who own these guns and have the right to openly carry them should also use common sense in doing so. If you own a 3-foot rifle, okay, if you are carrying that 3-foot rifle through the bank, as an example, or just down the street in downtown anywhere, why? Right? Ask yourself what the purpose of that is. That's an intimidation purpose, right? And listen, I'm saying rifle, could be a shotgun. It doesn't matter. Anything bigger than a handgun, in my opinion, you need to ask yourself, why are you carrying that? Based on the situation, where are you at, right? If you live in a very rural, very country area, and you use that gun to hunt and shoot and live, by all fucking means, carry that gun around, okay? But the world isn't the same in the rural world as it is in the city world, or bustling populations with fucking taxis and buses and trains and shit, people doing business in suits and whatnot, right? The world's different across the board, and so you need to use common sense to navigate those areas intelligently, so you don't create a problem where one doesn't need to exist, right? Don't carry a 3-foot shotgun through downtown anywhere when you could just simply carry a handgun, I guess, right? Like that, I don't know. Don't be intimidating if you don't need to be, right? That's the thing about people who carry guns. Carry your gun, but if you're a scared individual carrying a gun, I don't know. I don't. Maybe you shouldn't be carrying the gun. If you're carrying it to give you power, it's probably the wrong reason, in my opinion. Anyways, all right. Thanks for listening. Later.